talk about weed?
Am I in a midlife crisis soon?
My hands were sweaty.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Edna. How are you doing? We got Peggy,
Peggy.
a.k.a.
Hua Li.
We just recorded a whole episode without talking once about my music or my career as an artist, so I'm going to plug myself now. I'm Hua Li, Hua space Li. Follow me on Spotify or your streaming platform of choice. I'm on Instagram at HuaLigram and TikTok at HuaLiTalk.
Follow now.
Follow now.
In this episode, we talk about
Weed.
Midlife crises.
Panic attack.
Panic. New words.
Ambivert.
we are feeling smart.
Let's get it. Oh, you're feeling weird. It was weird.
Weird feelings.
Weird
Weird feeling.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Weird,
Weird
Feelings.
Was I supposed to say it?
No.
Okay.
Let's do it again. Okay, welcome to another episode of Weird
Weird
Feelings. We have another guest in our midst, and their name is Edna
Oh, Edna.
Edna.
I forgot. Edna.
and Peggy.
And Peggy. Yay.
How are you doing?
I'm well. I feel very comfortable.
Do you
Lying
love
down.
our spacious cottage location?
Yeah, it's so cottagecore in here.
Yeah,
Can't
so
believe
deep
it.
in the woods. Huh?
Cozy,
Yeah,
warm.
it's like it was hard to drive here.
Yeah. Did you have any issues like finding the road?
There was actually in real life a car on the shoulder on the 15, and that's actually why I was half an hour early coming here because
Because there was an
Because it was an
accident?
accident?
well, no, because
Doesn't-
I was gonna drop a Zoom recorder off for a friend,
Oh.
and then I was on the 15 and it wasn't moving, so I was like, "Oh, Edna, don't jostle."
That's okay.
That's fine.
And I like canceled. I was like, "There's no way I can do this both and make it on time."
Wow, so you prioritized
I
us.
prioritized weird feelings. Yeah.
Nice.
Don't
And
we
then
feel
I
special?
was like an hour early.
And I was definitely not doing my dishes when you arrived.
No,
Everything
your
was
dishes were
clean.
done.
Weren't you walking in the woods? I'm just kidding. I was keeping going with the
Oh
woods.
yeah, so then I couldn't drop that off for my friend because I knew I had to drive into the woods.
Deep into
the woods.
the weird forest.
The weird feelings forest. Exit weird.
Alrighty, getting the jitters out right now.
Do I make you nervous?
Do you make me nervous?
Should I not turn? Because then my voice won't be in the thing.
Oh,
No, you could turn.
Okay.
I mean, you can turn.
Could
You
look
can also
into
you can if you have
You
to.
could peep.
You can move your mic a little bit.
Yeah, I want to.
If you need to. I know this is
It's
this
a-
should be a new experience for you. It's kind of
You
a
guys
little
are used
weird.
to it.
It's a little weird to not look at someone when
Yeah.
you talk to them, right? This might be new for you.
No, but think of it as camp or like a sleepover. You know, when you were a kid, you sleep over and you're just like, so, did you see the last cartoon?
Wait a minute.
Like a sleepover is in we're all in our bunk beds.
Like on the
and
floor,
You're
like
lying
a-
down in bed and you're looking up at the ceiling.
Yeah.
Wait,
Or camping.
your Asian parents let
Yeah.
you do sleepovers?
Yeah.
What?
With my cousins.
Oh, damn.
Safe
Safe.
people. Wait,
My
why
cousins are
your
in China?
They're too far.
your parents wouldn't let you do
Wouldn't let you?
sleepovers?
No, I was super not allowed to do sleepovers.
Really? What was
By the time I was like kind of like early high school, I was allowed to do sleepovers, but
younger? No?
younger, no.
Was there a reason? Like, was there like danger?
Yeah.
What danger?
I know you'll have to ask my parents.
Stranger danger. Okay.
I think
interesting.
it's more them projecting things that they couldn't do to you, maybe. Maybe they didn't have sleepovers. Like, I'm not going to have my kids.
Well,
have
yeah, my
sleepover.
mom definitely didn't. I feel like my dad was like a bad kid, so probably like it was like maybe I feel like they were strict from different directions. Like my dad was strict because he was a bad kid.
Okay.
So he's
so
like,
he
I don't want
knew-
you to do what I did.
Right. And my mom was strict because she is Chinese.
Were they like tiger parents? Like very.
Yeah, my mom's the classic tiger mom.
Yeah, my
Sick.
parents were not. They were strict, but in primary school, I was like a delinquent pretty much, and I think they just gave up. They're
I
just
Like we have a
"Well,
couple other sons going.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was the
younger
only
one.
one. I got a lot of attention.
yeah. Like I got arrested and stuff. And
Maybe I should have been more of a delinquent, and then I could have had fun.
I don't know.
Do you
I
feel like you
uh,
you didn't have fun when you were growing up?
No,
No, not
No
fun.
fun.
no fun,
No fun at all.
no fun. But that's okay. I moved to Montreal when I was 17, and then I started having fun.
Was this was back in Vancouver,
Victoria.
Victoria. No fun, Victoria.
Yeah, but that's typical.
But was it like no fun? Like you can't hang. You had friends.
Kind of.
Okay.
Would your mom not let you have friends, or didn't want you to have friends?
Well,
or-
I had friends, and I could like go to friends' houses during the day and stuff, but it was rare. And also, I had a very busy schedule. Like
Oh, piano lessons.
that's the first thing I thought.
Violin.
mainly piano.
Right.
Well, because there was a phase where I was at the conservatory like 4 out of 5 weeknights.
Jeez.
Either for like piano lessons or like music harmony or like history classes or whatever. So yeah, I didn't have like a lot of time.
It paid off. You know, you're making music.
Yeah, here I am on the floor.
You've truly made it. You're here.
You made it.
There's no better sign.
But I feel like the
Yeah.
piano stuff and violin is just an Asian like
Oh yeah.
parent thing. Like my parents wanted me to play piano. I was like, I'm not playing piano. I'm playing guitar, and I played guitar.
My parents wanted me to play piano. They made me take piano lessons.
Did you like it?
No. I never actually learned how to play. I could memorize how to play a song, so I could just like play it after a while. But I never actually learned how to.
Like the actual instrument.
I didn't learn chords. I didn't learn
Yeah.
anything. And then the second I stopped taking lessons, it all went away.
Right.
But don't you think that like their parents were like if someone's forcing me to do something, I would never do it. I was always like that. I'd rather learn on my own.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah.
I think that's like fairly common. If someone's forcing you to do something, you're less likely to be like, this is awesome. It's usually, if you take interest in something first, right? But sometimes someone forces you to do something and then you're like, this is actually something I like doing. And it's something I want to do.
I would have been forced either way, but I always demonstrated a desire to learn the piano.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So there was interest.
Yeah. And
just-
then hilariously, my mom's over it now because she's come to accept me. But there was a phase like where she was like, I never should have let you take piano lessons.
Oh, why is
Oh,
that?
whoa.
Well, because I like went to jazz school. I'm like not a lawyer.
Oh,
Right. Instead of being like the extracurricular thing, it became
Yeah.
like the
yeah.
passion.
She was like, you liked it too much.
Right.
And now it's your life.
It's like my plan did not work.
Yeah, like she was like, damn, I never should have paid for this thing that has now ruined your life. Because you'll never be a lawyer.
Well, was that the goal, lawyer or
Well,
anything?
originally it was doctor.
Of course.
Classic.
Yeah. Or pharmacist, I guess, is like always like the other backup.
Engineer.
Interesting.
But I think my mom figured out like by like middle school, she was like, oh, like you're like dumb at science.
Dumb at science.
Yeah. So,
No science for you.
well, my mom was a genetic biologist.
Oh,
so
no way.
I think she like quickly realized that I had
No.
no talent in that department. But she was like, you're so argumentative. And I really liked reading. Like I read a lot as a kid. Because I wasn't allowed to like hang out with friends. So I would hang out with my book friends.
A lot of imagination. building.
Yeah. So she was like, oh, you're like so good at reading and you argue with me all the time. So you'll probably make a really good lawyer.
Right.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, she was wrong.
She was wrong. I do execute contracts in my day job.
Oh.
Oh, that's helpful.
I'm not
That
paid
is-
like a lawyer, but
What did your dad do?
my dad was a software developer.
Okay.
Yeah. He was one of the like he was the first generation of developers before there was like coding school
Right.
and stuff or like computer science. So he was a linguist, and then he was headhunted into becoming a developer because it's languages.
Cool.
Yeah.
Software developer and
So some
biology.
pretty smart parents. That explains a lot.
Does it?
Yeah, you seem like a pretty smart person.
Oh, thank you. I'm dumb at science.
And then now you're a musician.
I sure
Now
am.
you're an artist.
Well, that's the other thing my mom always says. She's like, "Oh, it's such a waste of your like smarts. You're an artist,"
An artist.
which I think is so insulting.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think they might not have a comprehension of what it is nowadays, I think, because their generation was more like you need to work hard maybe to
Yeah.
achieve things. But now they don't know that it's a full-blown thing that you can have a full career in.
Yeah.
I think there's like a
I mean, I think it's probably. I mean, it's still extremely hard to be like
I think
an
we all work
independent
hard.
Yeah.
artist, but yeah, it's always a lot of work.
We'll just never make fuck you money.
Well, you could.
That's true.
Could.
That's
That
true.
that's the
I take
thing
that
though.
back.
Like you can
I
make
take
you
that
could
back.
make fuck you money being an artist. You're never gonna do that like being a lawyer. You're gonna make a lot of money,
Yeah.
but you'll never make fuck you money.
You're right. This is the
So-
whole Black Swan thing.
What's the Black Swan thing?
Malcolm Gladwell. Anyway,
there's a pause. Everyone's like, okay.
You can explain it or not.
So
Maybe we have to know it to get it. And
well, as an author,
yeah. So the thing is I don't know it that well to explain it, but the Black Swan theory basically is like it's from Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers.
okay.
So he breaks down like these situations in which like you have the potential to be an outlier and like excel in like a non-scalable way. So the arts is like one of these areas where like you can have outliers that like have like everything is exceptional in a way that is incomparable to the rest of like the sample size. But if you're like an accountant, that's like a scalable thing. Like there's like a clear like ceiling for like
Okay,
what
yeah.
you can achieve as an accountant. But like
I
as
see.
an artist, you could be like me or you could be Beyonce.
Right. So basically what I said, but way smarter.
Right.
So yeah,
Kind
you
of.
are
I
really
mean, I don't
smart.
think I said it smarter than you did.
No, you said it
But
more
I think Malcolm
interestingly.
Gladwell
Said it
once
better.
Said it well.
said it very
his
smartly.
This is a very safe space for non what do you want to say?
Expertise.
Yeah, non-expertise. We're not experts. We're just
On anything.
learning with our guests and ourselves, pretty much.
I love that.
Every episode we learn and we grow. That's the whole point. That's why it's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Like that's a weird feeling. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm not smart enough, you know.
There is no I'm not smart enough, Johnny.
Yeah.
You are smart enough.
I
You're
am
just as
smart.
smart as you need to be.
I'm the smartest person on earth.
That's a little too much.
Whoa. Well, I'm an outlier, so
Yeah,
I'm
you
smart.
definitely are.
You definitely
we
are.
I'll
just
give you
learned.
that.
We just learned. We just applied what we learned right now. Nice.
Speaking of weird feelings, what are some weird feelings that you have? I know that's a weird
It's
question.
pretty vague, but
You know, I started taking an SSRI for the first time
Okay,
earlier
interesting.
this year.
Mhm.
And
wait, what's an SSRI?
it's an antidepressant.
Okay.
I have to say, like, I didn't really realize that I had been depressed my whole life.
Mm.
But, you know, I started taking it and I feel so normal now. And that feels weird.
Right.
Like I'm like so stable.
Yeah, when you say normal, what do you mean? What does normal feel like for you?
It's just like less hard to try.
Less hard to try.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
it's like I just feel like my life's so easy now. Like I'm
Oh.
like always grateful. It's like bad things happen. I'm like, that's cool. It's temporary.
Oh,
like
wow. That's
I don't know.
beautiful.
It's
Yeah, that's
it's-
great.
but it's weird.
Right.
It is weird because once it kind of something happens and it clicks. Because I have that. Well, I'm not on antidepressant, but like I feel like at some point I realized where like my anxiety was taking over my life a lot. But then at some point something clicked, and when that went away, it was more like, well, life is not that bad. You just could just do things and not stress about it. For example, I had a flat tire like a week ago, And I would have panicked. I would have been like, what do I do? Who would I call? And when it happened, I was like, oh, it just happened and it's just a thing. And then it just feels good.
Right.
So that's great.
Yeah, but isn't it weird when life suddenly starts to feel good?
I mean, especially if life, the norm has been like everything always feels a little off or like harder than it needs to be or
Right.
gray
Yeah.
or
I didn't even know.
right.
I thought it was normal.
Yeah. So would you be able to
That's why it's weird now.
Yeah, 100%. Would you be able to describe what it felt like before, now that you feel like you're, whatever, on the other side of it, or that you can look at it? That felt normal back then, but what would you describe that as now?
Normal. Yeah. What was the normal to the new normal?
The old you.
It's kind of subtle, I guess, but because the thing is I have always been very high functioning, and you guys have known me for a while. Like, I don't think I'm like a demonstrably depressive personality.
I would say you come across as the opposite.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like
You're very cheerful. You're very happy. You're very outgoing.
Yeah. So I think here's the thing: is that like my baseline was more variable before. I've always been like really extroverted and cheerful. But I think that in and of itself is a coping mechanism sometimes,
Right.
where it's like, okay, I'm like, I feel bad, so I'm just going to be like a clown. So yeah, I don't feel like there's any, like, I just feel more natural. Like, I don't feel like I have to overcompensate by being clownish anymore. And I think it is just an overall baseline thing where, like, sometimes I would be almost like manically exuberant and extroverted and excited. But then I would have like big dips,
Right.
Oh, okay.
Way more high highs, low lows.
Yeah, where I was less functional. Like, I used to cancel stuff all the time because, like, I would like schedule a bunch of stuff and then be like, oh, I don't feel like it now. Whereas now I feel like, like every day is like more, the median is like, there are more medians.
Yeah. More leveled out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like pretty rare that I have a day where I'm like, oh, I can't like get out of bed today. I just like go about my business.
Well, this explains
Yeah.
so much about your behavior before.
I was like, whoa.
Now my direction on set
What a
makes
read. Damn. I still
JK.
I love being unhinged, I have to say. Like, there's a lot of joy in being unhinged, but I think like maybe the difference is that I didn't get to choose being unhinged before.
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
now I can be like, okay, like today it would be fun to be really unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
And
before you were doing it to feel like, all
alive.
right, everything. I think so. We haven't had that many guests on the podcast yet, but I think you are probably the first extrovert that we've had on the podcast.
You just have guests that don't say anything.
Well, introverts are not necessarily people who don't have anything to say. Johnny and I being both introverts. There's just like maybe more in like social situations and things like that.
High functioning introverts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we can adapt.
I would say you're both ambiverts, if I may.
That's a word I learned.
I thought
more learning.
ambivert.
I was like, somebody told me that, and I was like, and she was like, yeah, you're more maybe ambivert. I had to Google that.
I
Which is a
used to
both.
think that I was an ambivert, but when I searched deep inside myself and asked the people who are really close to me, they're like, no, you're an introvert.
Yeah.
I think I
feel like
wanted to
Johnny
be.
could be an ambivert.
So here's the thing. I think that by nature we're both introverted, but when we're around people that we're very comfortable with,
Right.
then we are
Be
fairly
ourselves.
like more open. Johnny more so than me.
Do you like to be in social situations like ever? Like, does it ever feed you to be in social situations?
I think I do need to have that social interaction, but not like if let's say I 2 days in a row, I'll disappear for a week. I need to recharge that social battery.
Oh, so you never
Yeah.
feel recharged by socializing. You always need to recharge from it.
Yeah, from it kind of.
Okay.
But like I do
I
like
would say
seeing
that's
people.
introverted.
Yeah.
Same for me. Like, I could be alone in my apartment probably for a whole week. At the end of that time, I'd be like, I need to see someone. But then I could see someone for like a couple hours and be like, okay, I can be alone again for like another day or two.
Right. Like
Yeah.
if I spend too much time alone, that like destroys me.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
you get energy from, you get
Yeah.
recharged by being around people.
Like
yeah.
obviously if I'm partying or something, if I'm doing something that I'm exerting a lot of energy, I'll need time to rest.
I mean, that's just tiring, right?
But
That's
yeah,
a little different.
but I don't necessarily, I wouldn't like, it's sad for me to rest on my own sometimes. Like I really like having my boyfriend around if I'm like resting, you know? Or like it wouldn't bother me if like I had a friend over for like a whole weekend.
Oof.
You know what I mean?
see.
So
That's too much.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like,
Hey, you gotta go.
like me, even like for
one
example,
night.
for work, I work with a crew, and then let's say we do a shoot and we do something. At some point, when it's like a tear down or break, I need to go away by myself and just recharge because I feel like even with work, there's a lot of social interactions, and then I'd rather be like, can I just rap by myself?
I think I felt that today from you because we shot today together with a group of people, and there was a little moment where like we were all gonna go for lunch,
Yes,
and you am I right?
Yes,
and
you
you
were.
were like,
yes, I wanted to.
I
be alone.
gotta return this gear. I got a time. You had like plenty of time to do it, but you're like,
Yeah.
I think I gotta
caught
go.
me.
Oh yes. Well, I didn't know it at the time, but now that I'm thinking about it,
Yeah, I do that. So I'll just disappear
Right.
for like 10 minutes and then come back out.
right.
So was it taxing for you to get lunch with us, or at
No,
in
I
the
think
end,
once I got there it was fine. But
Okay.
it's just more like I did want. I
you
was like,
wanted to be alone?
I just wanted to be alone for
Yeah.
a minute.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I enjoy solitude, but it's like a real choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's in the same way that after a week of being alone, you're like, I need to see someone,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
can do that for a couple hours. Like, if I've nonstop been around people for 7 days, I'll enjoy like a day alone.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's more about like my partner and I don't live together, and like the nights that we're apart, I'm like making music or like tidying up, you know, like I'm doing things that I like to do on my own,
Mm-hmm.
or that I need to be on my own to do. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. Like I worked from home for the longest time, and it like ruined me. Like I would
Yeah.
like go outside. I would have phone calls like for no reason. I would like put friends on FaceTime and like work
Right.
silently just to like hear someone breathing.
Oh,
near me.
yeah.
But this was during the pandemic,
Even after.
right?
Yeah, I like just started renting a desk at a co-working space,
Oh, wow.
and it's so much better for me.
But I will say, even as an introvert, I felt the same way. Like I didn't realize how much I was getting from like going out and working around people. Even though I'm really good at being on my own, I think you do need interaction, right? It definitely like
Yeah.
it was a good thing. And if anything, I kind of missed the feeling of like, oh, now I get to go home and recharge and be by
Right.
myself. I like didn't value that time after work as much because I didn't have that social interaction. Yeah, it was depressing a little bit for sure.
Yeah,
A
I lost
little.
my mind during the pandemic.
I was-
yeah, I mean,
I
didn't we
was-
all a little bit?
I
here and
loved
there?
it, to be honest. I did get lonely, but I did. Sometimes I think about it. I'm like, man, I did a lot of music because it was forced to be alone and make stuff, and I had nothing else to do, so I just made more things. And I think a thing that I realized is like a lot of things that I learned from my skill sets is just a lot of time spent in a room by myself, like
Yeah.
making music, DJing, or learning a software. And I think I did quite enjoy the pandemic.
I liked resting. Like, it was like kind of the first time in my adult life I had like long swaths of time to rest.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And I wish I had more time to rest now. But yeah, I don't know. Also, like, it's one thing to have solitude, it's another thing to like have to stay home.
Yeah, it's such
that's
a
true.
different
Two
feeling.
different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to choose to stay home and to be like, you gotta stay home. Don't leave your place. That's mentally is very
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same space.
I was a maniac. Like, as soon as the curfew started, but there was like the dog exception.
Right. You're like,
I
oh,
would,
I
I
just
would
gotta go.
drag Edna like everywhere. Like I would be like, I'm coming over, like get wine. Like,
Walking the dog.
you know?
That was the
Yeah.
excuse. But the thing with that thing, a lot of people got dogs and dogs got left out after.
Did they?
Well,
They just left them outside.
there was a problem.
No, a lot of people were
Well,
getting
like adopting or buying pets.
Oh yeah, because they had so much time.
and then they
Yeah.
return to work and they're like, oh,
I
right.
don't-
What
this
do I
was
do with
just
this?
a filler.
Damn.
Yeah.
Those are
They
terrible
should give
people.
me all those dogs.
Have a room, we should have a room full of dogs for one
Oh,
episode.
that would be so
Yeah, that'd
great.
be sick. I'd love to get a dog.
You should get a dog.
I'm not allowed dogs.
thought I was your
in this
dog,
building,
dog.
technically.
Was that
Wow.
a bad joke? All right, I'm leaving.
If only your back would allow you to stand up.
Hey guys, have you heard Johnny's back is not doing well?
It's not my back; it's my stanky leg. I have a
Wait, so
stanky
stanky
leg.
have
leg.
you talked about it before?
No, we haven't.
No, we
Oh.
have it.
Breaking news.
I have it.
Biddy-biddy-biddy.
Johnny's old.
I'm old.
You're almost 40.
No, I'm not. I was like 2 years away.
I would call that almost 40.
Still have a year, 2 years.
I'm dating someone who's over 40.
Whoa,
and
cool. What's that like?
Great. I love it. He's the best person I've ever dated.
Is 40 the new 30?
I think so.
I think
But
so too.
my coworker, who's 49, casually was like, "Yeah, so like your middle-aged boyfriend," and I was like, "Excuse me," and she's like, "Yeah, he's like 43, he's middle-aged," and I was like, "I'm dating a middle-aged man," and she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "No way!" It's like I'm thinking about this relationship in whole new terms. now.
Yeah. Statistically speaking, I don't know what the statistics are, but I guess if you double that 86, like
Yeah,
I guess
that's the end of life.
That's the.
I mean, some people go up to 100.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn. You're almost at midlife, Johnny.
Am I in a midlife crisis soon? Maybe next year. Go wild, just unhinged. Like,
Yo, that would be so fun. Can you take me along for your midlife crisis?
just get face tattoos and get a Porsche.
I'm down for the Porsche.
Okay.
I'm not.
No on the face tattoos?
No.
Well, I'm really like kind of traditional in my tattoo
Yo,
morals.
Yeah.
So I believe, like in old school tattoo code where like you don't get a face tattoo until like the rest of you is covered.
It's true.
Is that the
yeah,
tradition?
That is,
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe.
yeah.
Oh.
So it's like even like I mean I do have finger tattoos, but they're like kind of hidden. But I wouldn't get like the tops of my hands until like my arms were full.
Until it's full. Yeah, that is true.
What was
I
the
don't-
reasoning behind that? Not for you, but I mean like traditionally.
I don't know.
It's just like cover your body before you cover.
Well,
Well, it makes
I think there
most-
was more taboo, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there was just sort of this thing of like you like gain your stripes to having like really exposed tattoos, and so like tops of hands or like neck and face, like places that you really just can't cover with clothing, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
But that's totally changed now. That's like out the window.
I know, but it's weird.
It
I
is.
feel like, maybe this is like very traditionalist of me, but I do feel like it's kind of like tattooing is an art form and there's like a history and tradition that comes with it.
Mhm.
And especially because it was very taboo at a certain point, it feels strange to me that people are allowed to just kind of like do whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it feels like it's not like honoring the art form or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. But does that maybe feel like a bit of what's the word? Not gatekeeping, that's like the wrong word, but like
It is a little bit gatekeeping. Though.
like it was different for this generation, it was harder for them, or like it's just like too easy now and everyone just gets and it doesn't
Yeah,
mean as
I
much
mean-
and
Yeah.
like
I don't care really. Like if I see kids with face tats, I'm like, cool, badass. Like I wouldn't do that, but like,
cool, sick,
do
ruined
you.
your life.
yeah.
But
no job for you.
The thing is, I guess, is like because it's an art tradition.
Yeah.
That's what makes it feel different for me. Where it's like, I wouldn't like shit on like a young queer kid for like exploring themselves now, because like based on the idea that it was like harder before. you know, but
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't shit on people that have face tattoos either, but I think there's this like art tradition thing that makes it feel a little bit different for me, and ultimately I don't care what other people do, but
Of course.
you know, like it's my choice that I would like to honor that tradition. And I think at its best, if people are like interested in tattoo culture, then it would be like cool for them to learn about that.
Does that pertain only to certain styles of tattooing though? Or do you think that, you know, tattooing as a whole, whatever style you're doing, like I'm thinking of like, you know, traditional, I'm thinking of like
I
certain
think
forms of like
especially
cultural
if you're,
tattooing.
if
you know?
you're getting American trad, I think
Yeah.
like that's where kind of like that tattoo code sort of originates from.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know a lot of tattooers that work in American trad that are like, I don't like it when people get face tattoos, you know,
Yeah.
like, and they'll do it because they're getting paid, but it's not like their favorite thing.
Right.
Then when you get into like actual cultural tattooing, like obviously that's like
that's
super different. Like I would never be mad at an Inuit person for getting like traditional tattoos on their face.
Right.
Like that's
Of course.
that's a different tradition.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a different art tradition altogether.
right. You're just about respecting tradition.
Yeah, I guess so.
I was just talking
Oh, that
about.
sounds so like uncool.
No, I think that's cool.
I was just talking about my midlife crisis, and we just went in traditions. I was just
well, there is a
joke.
tradition of
There is, though.
midlife crises.
Is there? Like, what should I do though if I have a midlife?
Get a Porsche.
Yeah, I can't afford
Yeah, you
that.
can't afford that.
That's the whole point. No one can afford a Porsche.
No one
that
can
buys
afford-
one in their midlife crisis.
No one can afford a midlife crisis, realistically.
Really?
Yeah.
With these inflations,
with these inflations.
nobody can
Well, okay, so like,
go wild on groceries.
what
Woo!
are some things that you've like never done that like? I guess that's the idea, right? Is like you have a midlife crisis because
Yeah.
like you had to like the classic trope is like the person has to like let go of their youthful desires to have a family or whatever, and they didn't get certain experiences.
I don't think he's ever done that.
Right, I know.
Whoa,
Shots
whoa!
fired.
Like I feel
Like skydiving, I could go skydiving.
Okay,
You know,
is that the thing? Like what? So like, do you feel like you had to give anything up that you would want to like? If you suddenly woke up and felt your mortality, it's like, what would you feel like motivated to like want to do?
that's a deep question.
He's never had a life.
Whoa,
Oh.
whoa! What is this? Insults? I guess it's. I guess
What
it's.
is this, insult comedy hour?
Insult comedy
Someday-
hour.
I guess. Well, I have to. I would love to travel more. That's for sure. But is that a midlife crisis?
Well, it would be if you never came back.
If I never came back,
Yeah, if
just
you, like-
disappear.
Like, peace.
I have responsibilities, you know.
Yeah.
I have a daughter.
Well, that's the other piece, I think, is that you like stop taking care of your responsibilities in a midlife crisis.
Yeah,
That's what makes it a crisis. You can't like
yeah. I can't
responsibly
I'm too
be,
responsible
like,
to not do it.
But I think a midlife crisis comes when like the responsibility for those things disappears. Like, oh,
That's
my
true,
kid has
like, a
grown
lot
up
of
a little
people-
bit.
Yeah.
What do I do with my life now? Because
Why-
I think when you have a kid, you obviously like input so much of your time and energy and focus and responsibility towards that thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they kind of like don't need me anymore. So
Let's do.
who am I and what am I?
Move to
Right.
Japan? Or
But I
move
feel
outside.
like I do feel like I don't want to speak for you, but
You
I,
always try to speak.
but let
for
me speak for you. I feel like
Do it.
you've
Allow you. You're allowed.
Oh, thank you. What else can I do? I feel like you have found a pretty good balance of like making sure that you pursue some of your own passion while also, you know, taking care of what you need to take care of.
Yeah, like you're not a
you agree?
pharmacist.
Yeah, you're not just like
It's
some
true. It's
dude
true.
doing whatever it takes, like whatever job it takes to, you know, support your family. You're,
Survive.
you're doing both, you know?
I enjoy both. I do the things I love. That's my crisis.
Tim, what would you do if you suddenly had no responsibilities and
I don't
had-
have any responsibilities
kind of
right
At the moment, you
personality.
do not have.
Yeah, but okay, let's say hypothetically.
I do have
speaking.
some. I do have some.
hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If-
I have a kid. I had a kid or two, and now I
Yeah,
don't.
like
They're grown
like
up.
young, maybe
Yeah.
like in your early 20s, and then you had like a normal job that was not being a cool video guy. You know,
It's super cool.
Just video guy. No cool.
Yeah, I'm just video
Just
guy.
just video guy. Johnny's the cool video
Yeah.
guy.
Okay, so wait, what's the question? What
So
would-
yeah, like if that was like your life, and you turned, I don't know, 50, and
Yeah.
your kids are grown up, like, and you had the kind of personality that you would like go off the rails, what do you think you would do?
as in you say you're saying that I don't have the personality, that you don't think I'd ever go off the rails.
I don't think you've ever gone off the rails. No. That's also part of the hypothetical, is that you would have the desire to go off the rails.
Right. I mean, you never know. Give me an opportunity to go off the rails. I'll go off the rails.
Okay.
That's a good question. What would I do?
Man.
Like,
I know what I
no.
would do.
I guess that's the thing, is like I don't feel like I ever would go off the rails. So it's even like hypothetically, I can't even imagine a world where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy a boat. Okay, here I'll try to play the
Okay.
game.
Okay.
Stop being controlling. Just let it loose.
Like
I
your
think
imagination.
what I would
Wow.
do. I think what I would do is I would buy a boat
Okay.
and I
Okay.
would just sail around
The world.
from like town to town.
That sounds so lovely. Man, I love your midlife crisis.
But like I'd be in, let's pretend that I'm also like I'm divorced now, and
Yeah. So would you
I'm
have
just,
like shorties in every port? Like,
I think I'd be searching for connection,
okay.
but I wouldn't know what I like. I'm like, oh, it's my opportunity to like, get back out there, but also deep down I'm just like, I'm deeply broken and I'm looking for like some, lost love, first love kind of thing that I'm never going to find again.
So shorties in every port.
Shorties in every
Every
Yeah.
port.
Okay.
bring them on the boat. What else would I do? I'd also
What kind of boat would you get? Would you get like a sailboat?
a sailboat.
Nice.
100%.
Not a
Nice,
yacht.
nice.
Like a 27-foot boat, maybe a little bit bigger,
Sick.
42.
I
it
love
mean?
that. That's so respectable.
Yeah.
Would you have a name for your boat? That would be name.
Yeah, of course.
The name would I'd call it Brumby.
What? Brumby?
Yeah.
What's Brumby?
That's a wild horse in Australia.
In Australia.
I think
Yeah.
you should have called it Edna. That'd be a
That
sick.
would be my boat.
I would
be
call
your
it
boat.
Edna's a good name for
Yeah.
a boat. This is Edna.
I say that because my dad actually had a boat.
Oh,
So this is maybe some weird like following
wow.
in
Wow.
your dad's footsteps kind of thing. I also do I like sailing. It's probably the whitest, most
That's
like
pretty-
privileged
Sailing's great.
thing of me. But
I like sailing too. That's
I
my
like
white
boats,
white
too.
half. Loves sailing.
us whiteys, we love a good sail.
Yeah.
you know, Asians, we love boats.
Yeah. it's
Yeah.
true.
Love being fresh off of them.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my midlife crisis. It's not very exciting, but like a boat is fucking expensive. So that's
Right.
that's like the equivalent to like buying a car or something.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's your Porsche.
Yeah.
So I think I would move. I've thought of moving out of Quebec and just live in another country.
I feel like you would disappear.
I would do
Somewhere.
that. I would. That's like one of my dreams. But the thing
That's
is,
one of my dreams. I
just like
wanna
van,
fall off
just,
the face of
just
the planet.
van. But have
This
a-
is not a midlife
have a
crisis. This is a
kid.
goal.
This is one of my dreams.
No, but like that thought of like, oh, imagine I just disappear and nobody knows where I went, and I live on an island in like Thailand or deep in the jungles of Cambodia. That'd be sick.
Do you have any contact with the outside world? Like, do you have the internet, or you're just like in your place
I just would be
making
gone
music?
nowhere. Just like
Are you doing anything?
I'm just reliving it. I have a new life, I just become a new person.
Okay. But you would know people like in your new, like you would just disappear from your current life.
Yeah, but that's not a crisis.
Wow, I guess you don't really.
That sounds kind of like a crisis
Yeah.
to me. I don't know.
Sounds like you just have issues.
No. Tim, take the lead. Cue Tim.
We're gonna do.
Our signature meditation
Do we hold hands?
We can if you
Okay.
want.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. You guys take the lead.
I was like,
This time we're gonna hold hands, and that's gonna give us different feelings, and it's gonna feel weirder.
all right.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
Breathe in all the way. Feel your chest up. 4 seconds. Hold it, and then let it out. Then we'll take one more in, and then we'll do it. So big breath in. And
See, we're back.
oh, my hands were sweaty. My hand is sweaty.
Should we talk about weed?
We should talk about
Let's
weed.
do it.
I spontaneously quit smoking weed. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Good job.
It was not hard at all because I didn't try.
Like cold turkey, just stop.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I will occasionally, sometimes smoke a little bit of weed when I'm alone.
Okay.
But that is a completely different weed smoking personality that I used to be, which was that I was 100% stoned all day, every day. I was never not stoned.
Damn.
Like when you
nice.
guys first met me,
Yeah.
I was stoned
Every single
Every
time.
time.
every time.
Every
Whoa.
shoot.
Oh, for sure.
Really?
I used to take my packs into the bathroom and and vape during breaks.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Sick.
And it was
And
like,
the funny thing is that people would comment in certain videos that I looked really stoned, and that only happened after I stopped smoking weed.
Really?
Weird. Now that's weird.
how long has it been now? How many days, weeks, months,
It's
years?
been like a couple of years
a
That,
couple
that you've like not
that you've like,
yeah,
that you've reduced.
that I've spontaneously stopped smoking. Yeah, I would say that like I smoke so little now that it is basically that I've stopped.
right.
Okay.
You know, like I'll have like one joint every like
Recreationally,
several months.
Yeah.
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
But you what was weed for you? Like what it was just more like a
my life.
yeah, your life. But it was like, was there a reason? Yeah, like I have a reason when I was smoking weed.
Oh, I'm sure I was self-medicating post-traumatic stress disorder, but that's
Okay.
not fun to talk about.
Yeah. we don't
I
have to
mean, you can if you want
can
to.
if you want to, but it's more because me was like when it was more for my anxiety and like sleeping,
right.
and I would just smoke every day just to be like I need to do that just to feel like I can
Right.
fall asleep. But I did quite enjoy it though. But then I just stopped like a year ago. I did sober October,
Right.
and then after 1 month, I was like, oh, I
can
sleep
keep going.
better, and I was like, oh, I'll just keep going. And now it's been a year. But I do quite.
But you
miss
think about it every
I think
day.
about it a lot.
Think about it. Every waking moment. Of
Every
day.
time I'm like, oh, a joint would be so good. Or I vape. I never smoked.
Oh,
I prefer vaping because I don't like smoke,
right.
and I could taste more of the flavors.
The tannins.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I was
you-
more of an indica. Like,
Okay.
yeah,
You seem to really appreciate like everything around weed. Like you're a weed not a connoisseur,
Not a
but like
connoisseur, but
you
just-
appreciate flavors and smells and like
yeah, smells and
it's
then like
more than
little-
just getting high.
little
Yeah.
hints of citrus or something.
Well, if you're doing it every day, you know,
you gotta find like
you gotta like find
Yeah.
like an interest in it. I don't know. I was really into the ritual of it all and like
Okay.
It was
different
fun.
strains and
How
stuff.
how high were you getting? If you're getting high every day, is it like you're getting blazed out of your mind every day, or just like a 10%?
I think at a certain point, like your tolerance gets so high that you like don't really get that stoned anymore. Like,
Right. You're just consuming without necessarily.
yeah,
yeah, it's just
I would smoke a joint before coming to the LANDR office.
Yeah.
Like for sure. 100% of the time when we first met.
Like I got to deal with these guys. I'm not gonna fucking.
No, it was
blaze
just
one
like
up.
I got to deal with like
Life.
a waking day. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I would wake and bake every single day.
Was it
I-
like first
I would-
thing?
Yeah.
Or,
Pretty much like with my coffee in
Right,
the morning.
right.
And then I would maintenance vape through the day until
Keep it
Yeah.
like leveled.
And then at night, would you then like go even deeper? Or
yeah.
you're just,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like if I was like when I was done my responsibilities, I would
Yeah.
switch from sativa to indica,
Yeah.
and then I would like blast myself
Right.
out of this world,
I know what you mean.
and then I would wake up the next day and start it all over again.
Did you find that was somehow like, was that tiring, or that just felt like, no, this is super?
The reason why I
Easy.
suddenly stopped is because it became tiring
Mm.
at a certain point. Like, I also would buy like very exorbitant quantities all the time because like you don't want to like run out. Johnny knows.
Was that a genuine fear? Like, oh God, what if I don't have any?
Well, like it's just it's like if
It's
you're
so
a
easy to get that.
stoner,
Yeah.
you don't want to like do stuff that's unplanned, you know. So it's like you don't want to be like, oh damn, like I accidentally ran out of weed.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this would have been the best time of my life.
Yeah, like
Yeah, for
now I
bread.
have to like call my weed dealer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just like I used to call it being weed rich. And I liked being weed rich. Like I liked
Right.
having like a stockpile
Right.
of drugs in my house at all times. And I was on like I was making my way through this ounce.
Mhm.
And at a certain point I was like, I hate this. Like
Interesting.
I like
Out of
this
nowhere.
is so tiresome. I can't believe I have to finish this out.
Mm.
And then I ended up throwing out part of it. Like one day I just got so mad at the ounce. I was just like, I'm so tired of this ounce.
You just had so much.
Yeah, I just threw it out. And then but it was also I feel like during COVID, I was extra stoned. Like I amped it up because
Yeah, you're at home
I
all day.
like truly had nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm also, you know, was very functional. So to me, it was like, okay, like the half thing I need to do today, I can do like stoned. Let's see how stoned I can get to do this thing. That'll be like the novelty of today.
Right.
But then for whatever reason, after the pandemic, like I stopped being able to socialize on weed.
Or you would just like become quiet.
It just got,
And-
I wasn't quiet, but I was like self-conscious. Like I felt strange
Wait.
for the first time.
Or does it be like, oh, they know that I'm really high right now? Like you would think of that?
Kinda, yeah, you know. Whereas before that, it never occurred to me, and to the point where like I stopped smoking weed, and people thought that was strange. Like they would like offer me a joint, like hanging out,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, "Oh no, thanks," and they'd be like, "Are you okay?" Like,
Yeah, like, what-
you're like,
Is
what's
everything
wrong?
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and I'd be like, "Oh, I still like don't feel it like right now."
Yeah.
Like I still have longtime friends that like it just like doesn't make sense to them.
That you're not smoking
Yeah,
weed.
like I'll tell them time and time again, and they'll be like, "What? Like you stopped?"
They're just so surprised.
Yeah.
But did it help you like as far as like functioning in the day, like creatively when you make music, like did it have like an impact on what you wrote or what you were making? Because me, it
Honestly-
had the opposite. I would like, let's say I would make music, but then I would get into the hole
Right.
and I'm just tweaking one sound for like an hour or two, and I'm just like, oh, this is amazing. But then I didn't do anything. I'm just like, if you somebody had a camera or would see me, I'm like just
picture it.
literally just like tweaking sounds, and I'm just like, oh yeah, and nothing gets done. I'm just in that one sound. It's the LFO tweaking. The thing is just like, and it's just noise.
Right.
Right.
But I'm just in it, and then I don't get out because I'm like, I need to keep staying in there because it
Because it feels good.
Yeah.
feels
feels
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. Like I would say there was always a tipping point where, you know, it's like a diminishing returns thing. There's like a moment where it's like the best. You're feeling so creative and free. And then as soon as you tip past that, it's like total hole, like dead zone. Like either you get like, for me, I would get like obsessed with like editing some like minuscule thing that like wasn't lining up properly. I would do that for like 2 hours and then I would be exhausted, you know? And then I like wake up and I'm like, I don't like this song anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I do that sober. I'll like obsess over something for like 2 or 3 hours, just to get like lost in something, and then come out of it and be like, what
Maybe
the
that's why you
fuck
don't
did I
like
just-
smoking weed.
Maybe.
It's like too much.
Yeah.
Too much
I
obsession.
mean, one of the things about weed that always sounded fun and interesting was like the creative, you know, like unlocking creative abilities and like getting in the zone. But like personally, I never got there, but I don't think I also ever tried. I don't think I ever like smoked and tried to create.
The rare time that I will still smoke weed and it feels good and it doesn't feel like a chore is if I have like a really open evening that I'm spending to myself in the studio and I don't really have like an aim. Like I'm just like, okay, like I'm gonna like
Let's see
write
what
whatever,
happens.
you
Yeah.
know? Maybe I'll have like a little glass of wine and smoke like
An
it's like
ounce.
also I have no tolerance anymore. So
Right.
it's
Okay,
like
yeah.
like I'll do things that I used to laugh at people for. Like I'll like take a puff and like put out the joint, you know? Like whereas like I used to like start a studio session by like smoking like an entire joint and then being like, let's go, you
A
know?
life ruiner.
God, that would send me into such a spiral.
It was so fun.
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah, but again, like you do have to build up your tolerance.
Yeah.
Like I could never do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would just be like zombie. But I do like that though. I used to smoke where like I would just stare at a screen and literally like I'm the couch. Like, have you ever had that feeling where it's like everything is double, like on delay, the delay effect? So it's like you're like Doctor Strange when you're out of body. I've had that where it's just like everything is delayed and it's like my hand's here but it's here, and then it would be like a whole like night of that and like, oh my god, this feels amazing.
Yeah, I can't say I ever had like full on psychedelic experiences smoking weed. But it reminds me of this like anecdote they shared on Tiger Belly when Bobby Lee was like doing like inhuman amounts of edibles and then would like freeze and then have to ask Kalila if he was moving.
Okay.
He'd be like, am I moving right now?
Yeah.
And I thought that was wild because I do feel like, you know, I have been rapper stoned a lot in my life, but I've never really like, I've never felt like super psych. I guess one time I smoked hash in like my early 20s, like before I was a professional weed smoker. And that felt like a little psychedelic. Like I was like, whoa, shit's weird, you know?
Yeah.
But aside from that one time, like I was doing like, I used to do concentrates with my friend in Vancouver and like, that just felt like fun. Like I was like, oh, like I'm actually getting stoned for once, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've never really experienced
I've had bad
the
trips.
delay.
I have the delays were fun, but I had bad trips where I was like, I thought I was imagining things, but it was not what it was. Like in high
Welcome
school,
to my world.
I went high to like John Abbott for like a what is it called? Like, you know, you visit the school.
Yeah.
And I got really
Like an
high.
open house?
Yeah, like an open house. And I went, and then after I was like, I got really high. I went to McDonald's and I was my friend. And I was like, why is everybody's face melting right now?
Oh my God.
So
Whoa.
so I was
terrifying.
wait. So I was like, what's going on? And then my friend goes to me like, it's terrible. They're not melting. They have Down syndrome. And I was like, what? I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Like
And
everybody?
yeah, no, but I think there was a group. Like,
There actually were, okay.
there was actually people with Down syndrome.
Oh my God.
So that was one. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Hey Johnny, there's a bit there. That's it. You could work that into a bit. That's funny,
a stand-up,
but also incredibly offensive.
it was not. Well, no, but that's
Bobby Lee would love it.
that's the right term. I didn't, you know. And it was, but I was like high, and I thought
I said the right words.
it was that. But that's how high I was in.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really experienced that.
But after that, the delay is like the best. But then I just stopped, and I felt that. So me, the reason I stopped was like at some point I realized that weed became like a feeling suppressant too.
Right.
So I was just like, it's not helping me mentally at some point, and I just felt like, let's stop and just be in my feelings. And then I think I've been able to live with that. It was like I'm not compartmentalizing my feelings somewhere with weed and keep pushing it down.
Oh yeah, that
So
was
I've been
a big part of
able
it.
to like stop and like, okay, like I feel this way. If I have anxiety, I know what it is, and it's not going to be the end of the world. If I sleep way better now. Like my sleeping I have vivid dreams.
I know, isn't it crazy that you get dreams?
I had some really good dreams. Recently, 2 days ago, I had a really wild dream where I was with my mom and we were defending our home and fighting robbers.
Sounds
Fun
great.
times.
But that was, but my mom's like super old and she was like moving.
Well, that's the beauty of dreams, Johnny. Anything can happen.
I know, but the dreams are more vivid and it's
Yeah.
like, whoa.
Were you not having any dreams?
No, not
Zero dreams. So you're just like,
nary a
It was
dream.
just like fog.
go to sleep and then wake up.
Wake up and get high. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure I was dreaming maybe, but like nothing I would ever remember.
Right.
Yeah, like that was also wild. When I like stopped, I was like, whoa, dreams are crazy.
Yeah. And you sleep better too. It's just
Yeah.
everything's better.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the things that, right. So I definitely was never at your guys' level. I never smoked weed officially.
Yeah. You were never
I was the most casual, like for a couple of years here and there, But I also noticed, like, whenever you go to sleep high, I'd be like, it was harder to go to sleep. And then also, well, not harder, is like you're falling asleep easier. But then, I'd feel really weird, like not hungover, but I'd have this
like
weird,
kind of groggy.
I guess,
Yeah.
and like fog.
That's why you have to immediately smoke some sativa when you wake up.
Right, just like get going.
balance it, yeah.
I never tried that. Maybe I should have tried that.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I definitely had some dark. I had like one really bad like dark night once.
Okay.
And it was the night that I discovered that, kind of like sex or that realm and weed go really well, really hand in hand. The first night I discovered, one night on my lonesome, had some weed left over from like, I only used to smoke with friends. Sometimes they'd be around. We'd smoke together.
I was so touching. It's like, I didn't really ever smoke weed. Like, I never bought weed.
I bought weed once in my life, and that was from the SQDC, like when they were finally legal. And I was like, you know what? I could just like buy my own thing. I never, but I wasn't smoking enough. Anyway, I have this weed left over at my place, and I'm like, I'm bored. I guess I'll like just light up a bit. And I'm like, once I smoke, I'm like, I was like, it's late. I could look at, some
I could rub one
pornographic.
out.
I could rub one out. And so as I'm, going on, I'm like, oh, this is like feeling a little different. This feels pretty good. And then, and like, I was really feeling it in ways that I never had.
Yeah.
But then like, I just describe it as a roller coaster. I'm like, just, feeling whatever. And then I'm like, ooh, this feels real good. And I peaked at a certain point, and then I'm like, this feels too good. I'm like, this can't just be weed. No one's ever told me about this weed and like sex thing. Again, not that I was having sex, but so my mind started going to this place of like, what if the weed was laced?
Lol.
Which is like, it's not a thing that happens really.
So you overthought.
I overthought it and I went to a
Okay.
dark place of like, oh my God.
That's so funny.
I'm dying.
You like didn't allow yourself to experience the pleasure.
Not long enough.
Right. Like
Yeah.
it's like this is exactly why I had to say in the hypothetical that you would be the type of person.
Are you saying I'm a little restrained?
Yes. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
like you were like having like a
Definitely.
great sexual awakening,
Yep.
and then you were like, no,
No.
this is impossible.
I should not be doing this. Oh my.
You might
It's
be right.
impossible that I should
You
feel this good.
Might be right. It might be a little bit of that, but I think it was more just like, so my mom is a minor bit of a hypochondriac. And so I think I've picked up on like this worry thing
I see.
a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
And so my mind just like went there. And once it went there, it like, I think also because of the weed, it like couldn't get out of like,
That was your dead zone.
I tried to call my brother. He didn't answer. I had to call my ex who lived down the street and be like, I need you to come over right now. I'm not doing well.
Oh my god!
And
that
she's like,
sounds
I'm dating someone now. Like, I can't
Like,
really.
I came so hard.
I need you to check it out.
it's not supposed to be this.
I had to get their sister to come over and like sit
Was
with
your
me.
ex's sister came?
Yeah,
That's
and
so
like
humiliating.
sat with me for like 3 hours. The time that I waited for them to come over felt like a lifetime. I was pacing around in circles, going from window to window of like,
Oh my
when are they gonna get here?
God.
When are they gonna get here? When are they gonna get here? When are they gonna
Oh,
get here?
man.
I thought I was gonna die. I almost like opened my front door to be like, just in case I collapse on the ground.
Oh, somebody would see you.
It's the classic
Oh my-
like.
It's like a panic attack.
I've never
You panicked.
like someone who doesn't smoke and like smokes like too much, right? Like usually I would have just had like a little bit when you're passing it around, but
Right.
I just kept smoking this joint
Yeah.
and obviously smoked way too much, and then got into like a panic. And
Damn.
That's wild.
that being said, the following weekend I smoked again,
okay.
and ever since then, obviously, like I had a strong like fear of
Getting too high.
getting too high and like getting into a panic attack. And you know, I was very fortunate enough to have like, I didn't really have a lot of anxiety, I think, before that. Like I hadn't really experienced like true like panic attacks or anything like that. So that was a bit of like an eye opener to me, and it was a little destabilizing. But I continued smoking for like another year or two, very casually. But it would honestly, from that point on, is only like, I'm a little bored, I'm alone, and I just smoke some weed and jerk off.
Right. That sounds very.
And that's pretty
that
much.
sounds very normal to me.
But that was it. And then, I never really explored it outside of that.
Right.
I didn't really go like, oh, I feel like being creative. Let me, you know,
Try
smoke some
this
weed and-
strain.
Yeah, and like see
Yeah.
what happens. You know.
Gelato, apple gelato.
Gelato's a good one.
yeah.
So
I
now
do-
I have this fear. I have
good.
a little bit of like anxiety linked to like
So
consuming things that I'm not comfortable with. That I,
Would-
you know, that I
Right.
take
would you be
before.
open to smoking with us? I guess me, you, and Tim. Like Tim, would you be open if we do it together, where we show you strains that are, you know?
So I don't know if that would work, just because the thing is like, if you're blasted out of your mind and you're like, this is great, or both of you are like that, and I'm like, no, this is
wouldn't-
not okay.
I personally, first of all, I've already established that I don't know if I can even be in social situations high anymore.
Right.
But if I were to agree to that, it would be like, we're going to smoke a single strain. It's going to be one of the like super balanced, like mostly CBD,
Mhm.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, I don't know if I would even agree to that. I just feel like Johnny's trying to like find an excuse.
He's
to
like,
smoke
someone
weed.
smoke weed.
Yeah,
with
he's
me."
like, we'll make it like a podcast episode so I can
Yeah,
like, smoke weed again.
Exactly. It's the reason for me to break it.
I wish I really honestly could. Again, this is, I think, just like that paranoia and like hypochondriac kind of thing a little bit, but I have that fear that I would be like one of those people who would like become schizophrenic from smoking, which can
Okay.
happen.
It
It's a
can
thing.
happen.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I'm like, I feel like I'm very sensitive. I seem to have been very sensitive to it, and I feel like it's brought out certain qualities in me that are, you know, anxiety, paranoia, that kind of thing. So I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm paranoid about becoming paranoid
I
from
see.
it. So I feel like,
Yeah. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think, you know, the nice thing now is that you do have so much control over what you're getting.
right.
Yeah.
But weed is also much stronger now than it used to be. So there's like a double-edged sword there. I don't know. One of the rare times I've smoked weed in the last year, I was doing a show in Edmonton, and my friend who didn't know I stopped smoking weed was like, hey, do you want to go to the weed store? And I thought that he needed to get weed. So I was like, sure, I'll meet you there. But it turned out he was just thinking of me as a visitor that I might need to get weed. So there was this awkward moment where like he didn't really need weed. And I was like,
I don't need weed.
like, I guess, why not? Like win in Rome.
Yeah.
But then they didn't have any like weak sauce weed there.
Right.
Like I was trying to be like, I don't know, like maybe just give me something that's like sleepy time, like CBD.
Yeah.
And then they just they was like a hardcore kind of place. And then, but they had this like one pre-roll on sale. So I got the sale weed.
Do you remember how much that had?
Do you know
in
what
it?
name it was?
No, I don't remember any of that. But my friend was like, this is so weird because you used to come into the weed store and ask for like the craziest
Give me
weed.
the
Yeah.
strongest.
Yeah, like I would be like, I want like these tannins and like I want like give me like this sativa and then like I want like for
Hybrid.
nighttime. Yeah,
Right.
like I would be so specific and I would always be like, okay, like give me the highest THC. Like let's go,
Yes.
But I was like totally the opposite. Like he was like, what happened? And I was like, oh, I don't really smoke weed anymore. I don't even know why I bought this weed. And then that night after the show, after everyone had left, I was like back at the hotel and then I had the joint. But it was also this weird situation where I had to like be outside of the hotel to smoke. So I was just like, okay, like I'm not going to come back up and down. So I'm going to smoke as much of this to my face as I can. And then
Jeez.
like go upstairs and like watch cable TV, like dream. Perfect scenario.
Yeah.
But I smoked as much of it as I could bearably to
too
my
fast.
face. And then I went upstairs and I was just like, I feel like shit. I like feel paranoid. But I was like, I've experienced weed enough in my life that I wasn't like, what is this? I was
Yeah,
just
you
like,
knew what
oh,
it
I'm
was.
feeling,
Yeah.
this sucks. I didn't mean to make myself feel paranoid.
Right.
I got
Yeah.
so mad at myself. I was like, this is what happens when you smoke weed.
This is the gateway drug.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I like ruined my cable TV in the hotel
Right.
room
You
time.
could've just
Like,
enjoyed it. Yeah.
this sucks. Now I can't
Yeah.
sleep because my heart's pounding.
Interesting how that why do you think it switched to like, because did it make you anxious before or paranoid at all?
No, but
or-
I was pretty dialed in with like the strains that I had like my solid providers before it was legalized, like
So you do think it like that does make quite a difference in terms of like getting the right strain and the right levels and quantities and
yeah, like there's certainly strains that I used to love before that I wouldn't have now because I know my tolerance is lower and
Right.
it just wouldn't be fun.
right.
It also was like I convinced myself that it was the kind of strain I wanted, which was like something chill, but it wasn't. It was whatever was on sale at the weed
Yeah.
store, like it was like probably like a really like high THC intense strain that I was just like, I'm going to power through this. Which is, just not how,
But-
again, in the rare occasion I consume weed now, I like
Yeah.
have like a couple puffs of like a very low THC thing and vibe out for a second.
But now there's so much info. Like I used to like that there was an app, right, of like what it would do.
What was that called? Like
I forgot
Leafly?
weed map or
Weed
leaf
map.
no
Oh,
Leafly.
Leafly,
Leafly.
yeah.
So I would look at that. I'd be like, okay, I want something that's like a
Leafly.
couch melting. But I went to an extent where I would watch people smoke weed on YouTube and they would review it. So they would take puffs.
Right.
I
And
love it.
Then I would be
love
like,
it.
oh, it's like, oh yeah, this has a little bit hints of this. And then this is more of like a chill night, like on the couch. This for sure is gonna be like you become the couch. They're like, oh, I want to have that. And then I would
And you got it. You
and I
became
got
a
it.
couch.
Yeah.
Did you ever get into like exotic weed products like moon rocks or like keef sticks or anything
No,
like that?
never.
This is like big BC lifestyle, I think. Like anytime I would go back out west to visit friends, we would have like insane stuff. And I remember one time my friend that worked at a dispensary got us a keef stick and it looks like a cinnamon stick,
Okay.
but it's like
It's
Just-
rolled, right? With the weed, like it's stuck to it.
It's the keef crystals.
Yeah, the keef. Yeah.
Yeah.
what
So
goes at
they
the-
like press it and then they roll it into like what looks like a cinnamon stick. So it's like a straw
Okay.
that you smoke,
Yeah.
but it's like just crystals.
Just crystals. Yeah.
Hey, was this just crystal meth or something?
No,
No,
it was,
it's the-
it was crystal weed.
Crystal weed. Yeah. It's what you know when
It
you
was
grind
the
it.
most methy way, I
Right.
think, to possibly have weed. But yeah, it was like I was in a group of like all friends that had dedicated their lives to weed. Like someone that works at a dispensary, you know, like people that like
High rollers.
yeah, literally. So we were like all in a group. We had like planned for this moment. Like we bought like so many snacks. And then but we were hanging out at a friend's place who also like no smoking inside. So we like got all the snacks, smoked the keef stick in the parking lot, and then went upstairs to his place. And what happened for the next like hour was that we silently unpacked all of the snacks, laid them out in the living room, and then like probably for a good 10 minutes just like sat there in silence, like looking at the snacks. No one ate anything. We just like prepared it for our high selves.
like-
You're offering.
It's like your charcuterie board of
yeah.
snacks.
And
This
then,
is before you smoked, or
no, this is after.
okay, yeah.
This is
So you're
after.
kind of like in it.
Yeah, we're all just blasted out of
Right,
our
you're
minds.
just-
We're like in another dimension unpacking this, but somehow communicated to each other that we will unpack all the stacks.
Right.
And stare at it.
Yeah. And then we like truly sat there in silence for such a long time. I think I was the one that broke the silence, being like, yo, no one said anything in like forever.
What are we doing here? But the food, that was a problem. The munchies for me, that was a huge, I would just be like high out of my mind and be like, right now, I need to cook everything. And then as I'm cooking, I'm like, I need to maintain
The
so,
high.
so
yeah.
I could enjoy this food.
Yes.
And then I would just eat. Or sometimes a massive Uber Eats order just comes in. I'm like, fuck, I ordered this. Just like, it's like, oh fuck. So that would happen. But the problem was the wait time. So it's like, I'm hungry right now, but if I'm ordering something, I need to keep it, and I would just keep smoking.
Because you
Right.
want it to be at that level.
I just be like, I wanted to
high.
feel.
It is fun to eat
So-
high.
It is, dude. It's like a fry is like the most like high fine dining ever. You're like, it's so good. Or even a piece of bread with butter.
Yeah.
Yo.
It's like it's just like, oh, this is so good. That was one of the problems that I had with eating everything became gourmet food, and I would eat everything. I'm like, shit, I just ate my groceries for the week,
Right.
and I'm like, gotta do more.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever like dip into like edibles or like, I don't know, did you ever take it to the level of like, what is it, like dabbing and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
I used to do a lot of concentrates, but
Yes.
edibles would never agree with me.
Okay, interesting.
I've had edibles, pretty good.
I found the edibles, the few that I had were like, that seemed to go well with me.
You
for some
know, I
reason.
think the thing is that because I smoked so much weed, it's not like I would take an edible and then not keep smoking weed.
Right. You're like, well,
I would like take the edible, immediately forget about it, and
And then
be
you're
like,
like-
I'm not as high as I would like to be
Yeah.
right.
in this moment.
Or it's taking longer, and then you're like, let's just.
Well, or I think like it would happen that I would like, because it was pretty rare that I would take an edible. So maybe it's like I'm with like some weed friends
Yeah.
and they give me an edible, but I'm just still smoking weed like normal. And then all of a sudden I'm like really high.
it hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And I could deal with that as well. But I also found it always like bad for my tummy. Like it would like make my stomach kind of upset.
I rather like I preferred the ritual of like, you have your leaf, you crush it, and then you do that
Yeah, I
over.
love to
Like the
roll
other's
a
just
joint.
too easy. I like thing, and I like smell it,
Yeah.
And-
Oh, I love rolling joints.
and then get the keef and just pack the thing.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Just roll on it, but I just like it's just like a little. It's like making your morning coffee thing.
Right.
It was like the same idea.
Yeah.
Traditions are really nice. Like,
Yes,
and
that's what-
habits are really nice.
Right.
Sweet traditions.
Well, the funny thing is like I'm a cigarette smoker, and if you asked me to roll my own cigarette, I would be like, "This sucks." Like I do not want to do that.
Yeah.
But I loved rolling joints. Like I'll roll joints for people now out of the
Right.
kindness of my heart because I just enjoy it. I think I'm really good at it. I roll a beautiful joint.
There's jobs. Could be a
Yeah, I mean,
professional role.
I don't know.
Assistant. what is it?
Imagine I'm like, Mom. I know
Lawyer,
you're really
artist,
disappointed in
joint
me.
roller.
Yeah.
I'm Snoop Dogg's weed roller.
I mean,
Quit.
No, he didn't. That was
Yeah, he made an announcement.
it was a marketing thing.
No way.
Yeah,
classic.
it was. That's what I heard. It was he got you.
Yeah.
we're talking about him.
Well, when that came out, I was like, this is what I should have done because people in my life still think I'm lying.
So you're saying you should make an announcement?
I should have made an announcent.
Right. You could.
You could.
You
still
could make
have
one
time.
right now.
Announcing now.
To the Weird Feelings audience. I only smoke weed like once every few months.
Which for her is
It's basically quitting.
Quitting. Weed is complicated.
It's a
That's
complicated thing.
I feel like I should ask you guys some more questions.
Well,
Are we
feel
done?
free. We could. We're good, but we can keep going if you want. Yeah. What are the questions that you have for us?
Yeah, we had a bunch
Peggy.
of questions.
We
You
know
didn't
we
ask
have.
me any of them.
Did we have questions for you?
We did ask. No,
We
the
didn't
weed
ask
stuff.
much.
That was a question. Well, the
We're just here to
experience.
hang.
We're just hanging.
Yeah. Are you're still with your Asian girlfriend?
Yes, I am still with my Asian girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't know her name. I don't know anything about her except that she's Asian.
Gotta get her on the pod. Yes, I am. Her name is Zalika.
Alika.
Zalika.
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 What kind of Asian is she?
She's Malaysian.
She's Malaysian. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
she's Malay.
Have you met her family?
I have met almost all of her family.
What was that experience like for you? Like, was it? Did she like prep you to meet the fam?
So none of her family is here. They're all
Okay.
kind of like abroad.
Okay.
So her dad still lives in Malaysia with her brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom lives. This is a lot of personal information, but it's fine. Her mom lives in Bahrain,
Okay.
and then her sister lives in Australia
Wow.
with some kids. So we went to Australia to visit some of my family and to visit her sister. And at the same time, her dad visited Australia to like kind of
Okay.
get the family together. So that's how I met her dad and her sisters. It was very like super casual.
Like you didn't have to go to their home.
No. So we ended up going to Malaysia at the end of the Australia trip and we stayed with her dad the whole time. He
Okay.
like drove us around. So I did, but that was also very casual.
Cool. Like
Yeah.
there was like no expectations.
No, there were no expectations.
Interesting.
Yeah. Her dad's really funny.
He's like chill.
Yeah, he's like a cool, just old Asian man, and I get along with Asian guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some
evidently.
reason. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know why, but
All his friends are Asians. True.
they're not all Asian.
Most of them.
That's true. I've seen you with some Asians.
Yeah, I got a lot of Asian friends.
Asians are
I've
cool.
seen you with some Asians in the wild.
Asians in the wild.
She had like she doesn't, she hadn't seen her dad in like a while, like years, like in person.
Mm-hmm.
Same for her sister. So like, maybe it was more complicated for her.
Interesting.
Because she's obviously changed. You change and grow up over time, and so she's different, and he hasn't really changed.
Right.
And so anyway, I don't think I can get too into the weeds.
Does
of
your
that, but-
family have like expectations for partners and stuff?
Not really, I think. I think they're just more like Johnny's working and he has and raising his kid.
Yeah, but like if you had a new partner
Yeah.
and they were white,
If they were white. I think it'd
would
be-
there be any like cultural, like would they,
there would be like
would you have to prep the person?
I would have to prep that for sure.
Yeah, okay.
I also have
That's what
on
I'm
my
looking
to-do
for.
list, go to therapy and talk about
Right.
family trauma. But yeah, I think there is like prep, I guess, for cultural differences but I'm more like, it's just, I think I'm fine with it. I just need to prep them, I guess, whenever I bring something.
Right.
But
Yeah, I have to do prepping.
yeah, I have to do like a lot of prepping. It's like, I'm like, look, my parents are cool, very nice people.
Yeah.
But there's maybe some differences in how we eat dinner, what we do for food.
Right, but also
Jokes.
topics of conversation. Yeah, jokes.
Conversation.
big.
there might not be a lot of conversation because there's also a language barrier
Right.
with my mom.
Yeah.
Or maybe with my dad, it's fine because he just talks. It's more like my dad just talks a lot. He says a lot of things. Sometimes it doesn't mean anything. It's just more to that. But
Yeah.
The only thing that I was prepped to like not mention was like, Malaysians don't really talk about like Singapore that much. That's like the one thing.
okay.
I love that. I
like,
love that.
maybe don't talk
They're
about
like, don't
that.
talk about those rich Asians over there. Don't mention the rich
But wait,
Asians.
has your partner met your parents?
Yeah. Well, he's met my mom.
Your mom, yeah.
And it went really well because I prepped him.
Oh, you prepped him.
But
okay.
he's also good. He's just good. Like, he's very useful.
Okay.
What do you mean by useful?
Well, he's just good at like taking care of people, like doing stuff around the house,
Yeah,
so
right.
he like immediately made a great impression on my mom. He like bought her this beautiful bouquet, and she was like, wow, none of Peggy's partners have ever bought me anything before. The bar was low, but then also he's just like easy to talk to, nice,
Yeah.
really like respectful, and then like just like did tons of stuff around my mom's house. Like he like chopped wood for her. He like
Wow.
fixed stuff around the house. So she was just like, this guy's the best.
This is it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. That's good.
But and it's lucky that he just like knew to do those things.
Yeah.
But I've definitely had to prep other people to be like, hey, like, don't be yourself.
This we're just going in and out for 5 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then
And
we're
also
good.
my mom's like a germaphobe. So there's a lot of prepping around like, okay, like when you come in the door, like you're going to make sure your shoes don't come off of the mat at the entrance. And then we have to change all of our clothes from head to toe so that we're not bringing like the first thing we'll do is like we'll wash our hands. We'll like change all of our clothes.
This is our tradition.
Yeah.
Me
That's
would
not
be
so
more-
much
yeah.
cultural as
Me,
like,
it's just more like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things in the house.
yeah.
They're just there. Just don't mind them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
of course.
But the food is great.
the food is definitely good.
The food is good.
But there's like 1,000 bottle of sauces on the counter.
Yeah, because what if you run out? Maybe this is where our weed hoarding comes from.
I don't know. I'm a very like I like things neatly placed, and I think that's one of the things that I have to work on.
Interesting.
Because I find it's like when there's too many clutter, I'm like I just throw things out. But yeah, prepping.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Now that the camera's
feel
off,
like-
I guess we could wrap up.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, this is the first though that it's just doing
First in a
that.
long
Yeah,
time.
in a
It's
long
a
time. It hasn't happened. Sorry about that.
That's
It's
okay.
okay.
We're really sorry.
If you've made it this far in the video, you're still watching. And you're like, oh man, there's no more video. Congrats to you because you're a true listener.
Make sure you
/
like and
watcher.
subscribe. And
So
tell all your
subscribe now
friends.
so we can upgrade our gear so this doesn't happen anymore.
Follow me at Hua Li Graham on Instagram.
Bam,
I have a
bam.
record coming out. My artist name is Hua Li. We never mentioned that through the
Yeah,
whole
It's
pod.
true. It's true. We will add this at the beginning
At the
of
beginning
the
video.
episode.
Oh, cool.
Well, we could always shoot the intro after too. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it's true. We got to do that. All right. Well, it seems like we could talk for ages. So it looks like we'll have to have you on again, Peggy.
Yeah,
That would
for
be
sure.
so fun.
Did you have fun?
I had a great time.
Great.
Awesome.
And next time we can make a song because, we like making songs on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one told me that.
Well, have you not watched?
I've watched some of them.
Have you not witnessed our
The next one
incredible
we'll do
talent?
an all sing along, auto tune.
I feel like
musical.
I would have been really down to do some improv.
Okay, yeah, like that.
So-
We're down.
Yeah.
You got to get into the weeds. You got to get comfortable. Into the weeds and the weed. And so next time we'll explore other avenues.
Great. I love it.
All right,
I'm here to sing songs and do improv.
that's what we're all about. All right, until next time,
Next time.
you weirdos. Have a
Catch
good
you
one.
later. Bye.
Bye.